After 4,500 years, the Great Sphinx finally gave up its biggest secret. In 2025, advanced MUAN scanners completed the most detailed scan ever done. What they found beneath those ancient pores shocked every expert in Egypt. The government immediately sealed off the area. 3 chambers appeared on the scans, but one chamber showed something that shouldn't exist. The discovery is so massive that officials are scared to announce it. What could make modern Egypt tremble at an ancient secret that's been waiting underground? Let's get into the background first. About 4,500 years ago, when Pharaoh Khafra ruled Egypt, something massive and mysterious was carved out of solid limestone. It became the Great Sphinx of Giza. It stretches 73 m long and stands 20 m high. But back then, it didn't look the way it does now. It wasn't pale or sun-bleached. Its face had bright red paint, and its headdress shimmered with blue and yellow colors. It must have looked incredible in the desert light, like a god watching over the rising sun. The Sphinx faces directly east, which wasn't a coincidence. The ancient Egyptians worshipped the sun and believed the pharaoh had divine power. So placing a creature with a lion's body and a human head to stare at the sunrise symbolized power, protection, and royalty. Most scholars agree the face resembles Khafra himself, so it may have been his image carved onto the statue to guard his pyramid. The lion's body stood for strength. The human face showed wisdom. Together, it was the ultimate symbol of a king. But over time, things changed. The Sphinx was damaged again and again. Its most famous injury is the missing nose. Many people think Napoleon's soldiers blew it off in the 1700s, but that's not true. Sketches from before Napoleon's time already show the Sphinx without a nose. The real story is even more surprising. In 1378, a man named Muhammad Sarim Alda saw peasants making offerings to the Sphinx as if it were a god. In outrage, he chiseled off the nose himself to stop what he thought was idol worship. That act of destruction was recorded by the historian Al-Makr, and it still shocks people to this day. Other parts were also lost. The ceremonial beard fell off long ago, and the cobra on the forehead disappeared, too. But the Sphinx didn't just face damage. It was also forgotten. The desert slowly buried it in sand. By 400 BCE, during the time of Thutmose, only its head was visible. One day, while still a prince, Thutmose fell asleep near it and had a strange dream. In it, the Sphinx spoke to him. It promised that if he cleared the sand from its body, he would become king. When he woke up, Thutmose began digging. After he became pharaoh, he placed a stone tablet between the Sphinx's paws. That tablet still stands today. It's called the Dream Stele, and it proves that even 3,400 years ago, the Sphinx was already ancient and mysterious. But the sands didn't stay away for long. Over and over, they swallowed the statue again. One detail from Thutmose's tablet sparked even more questions. It shows the Sphinx sitting on what looks like a pedestal or small temple, maybe with a door. Some believe this was just artistic imagination, but others think it hints at something buried underneath. That image would go on to inspire centuries of treasure hunters and conspiracy theorists. One of the strangest things about the Sphinx is its shape. Its head looks too small for its giant body. Some people like John Anthony West and Robert Schull believe this means the Sphinx was even older than Khafra's time. They think it once had a lion's head and was later reshaped into a pharaoh's face. Others, like Egyptologist Mark Leonard, say the body was simply extended to cover a flaw in the stone. Still, the odd proportions continue to puzzle experts. It's one of the reasons why some people think the Sphinx was built thousands of years before the pyramids by a lost civilization. We no longer know. In 1817, a man named Giovanni Battista Caviglia led the first modern excavation of the Sphinx. With the help of 160 workers, he began digging out the statue from the sand. Until then, only the head and a bit of the neck were showing. Over time, he revealed the chest and front paws. That's when he made an amazing discovery. Between the paws he found a small altar and the Dream Stele of Thutmose IV. There were also 2 granite tablets from the reign of Ramses II. One of them now sits in the Louvre Museum. Even stranger was a horned altar that had black scorch marks on it, like something had been burned there. This altar looked similar to ones described in the Bible with four small horns at the corners. Scholars later said it came from the early 1st millennium BCE. That means people were still worshipping at the Sphinx long after the time of Khafra, maybe even treating it as a local god. But Caviglia didn't find any tunnels or chambers. He looked hard, even clearing shafts in the body, but only natural cracks were uncovered. Sand kept pouring back into the pit, making work almost impossible. Rumors spread that the dig had brought a curse. Locals whispered that disturbing the Sphinx had angered ancient spirits. Caviglia gave up. In the 1850s, a man named August Marriott, who founded the Cairo Museum, returned to the site. He cleared more sand and found an old Roman staircase leading down to the Sphinx. It had been built in the 1st century AD and was completely buried. Beneath it, he discovered the ruins of a temple from the Old Kingdom. This temple was believed to be part of Khafra's complex. Marriott also examined a shaft in the Sphinx's back. It was just a crack, but inside it he found burned wood that smelled of resin. Some thought it was from a coffin. Maybe someone had used the shaft as a makeshift tomb, but it wasn't built by the Sphinx's original creators. Still, that small discovery sparked new hopes that a burial chamber was hidden inside. In 1887, Gaston Maspero, a French engineer, fully exposed the Sphinx's base for the first time in nearly 2,000 years. Its full body was finally free, but no doors or tunnels were found, just cracks and a hole on the top of the head, which was likely used to attach a crown. Then came Émile Béranger in 1925. He worked on the Sphinx for over a decade. He cleared more sand and fixed weak parts of the statue. In 1926, he explored the crack in the Sphinx's back and sealed it with concrete to keep it from eroding further. He also sealed the hole in the head with a trapdoor. This made sense for protection, but he didn't talk much about what he saw inside. That silence gave rise to conspiracy theories. Some believed he found something secret and covered it up. Even workers on his team said they remembered seeing a tunnel near the Sphinx's hindquarters. When asked years later, they said it led downward and was later sealed. In 1980, archaeologists Zahi Hawass and Mark Lehner investigated that area and found only a dead end filled with water. By the late 1970s, the Sphinx had been studied top to bottom. No major secrets had been found, just the dream stele, the chapel, and some cracks. But people still hoped. In 1978, a team from Stanford Research Institute used radar and seismic tests to scan the area. Their machines detected empty spots under the Sphinx's pores and along its sides. Some thought they had found hidden rooms, but when experts drilled and dug into those areas, all they found were soft patches in the stone and natural fissures. It was disappointing, but it proved something important. The bedrock beneath Giza is full of cracks that can confuse even the best machines. In the 1980s, Zahi Hawass began drilling around the Sphinx using modern radar. He found small voids, but nothing unusual. In one spot, red paint was found on the stone walls. Maybe marks from ancient workers. But again, no treasure, no tombs, just pigment and dust. Still, every time Hawass said nothing was found, skeptics accused him of hiding the truth. Some thought Egypt was keeping secrets about Atlantis or a hall of records. In 1991, Hawass and Leonard published their findings. They described a tunnel under the northwest rump and said it was just an old shaft, not a secret chamber. They found modern trash inside, not ancient gold. As we moved into the 21st century, people stopped trying to drill into the Sphinx or dig under it. Instead, they turned to newer technology. They wanted to find out what might be hidden inside or underneath without touching or damaging anything. One idea came from something called the Scan Pyramids project. It started in 2015 and used cosmic rays called muons to look inside Egypt's pyramids. These tiny particles come from space and pass through stone. Scientists discovered a hidden space in the Great Pyramid using this method. That success made many wonder, what if we use this same method on the Sphinx? By the mid-2020s, Egypt's Ministry of Antiquities began considering it. They wanted to know if there were any unknown hollow areas deep inside the Sphinx's body or underneath its pores. The plan, if approved, would let scanners look through the whole monument using muon radiography. This would work like an X-ray and show empty spaces with over 99% accuracy. Since the Sphinx is smaller than a pyramid, the scan would need fewer detectors and wouldn't take too long. Many scientists believe this test could finally prove once and for all whether there are chambers inside. If nothing shows up, then maybe there really is no Hall of Records. But if something does show up, a strange space inside the rock, a hollow spot under the pores, it could change everything. They might then use tiny cameras or drill carefully to explore further. As of now, everyone is waiting to see if the Egyptian government gives the final permission for this scan in 2025 or 2026. Other technologies have already been used on the Sphinx, and some results were strange. In 2016, a team used thermal infrared cameras to check the surface. They noticed something odd. Some blocks showed higher heat than others. One hot spot was found low on the Sphinx's body. This could mean there's an open space or air behind the surface, but officials said it might just be natural, different kinds of rock or dampness. Still, this test got people talking again about possible secrets hiding under the stone. Even before that, in the 1990s and early 2000s, scientists had used ground-penetrating radar. In 1991, a man named Thomas Dobecki worked with Robert Shaw. They ran radar scans and claimed to find a few cavities 5 to 9 m below the surface near the pores and the sides. Shaw even said one of the spaces seemed to be shaped like a rectangle. But when Egyptian archaeologists later went to those exact spots and drilled, they only found natural cracks or softer ground, not real chambers. It seems the radar picked up changes in the Earth's layers, not man-made rooms. But the media had already reported the original findings. So even today, people still say there's a rectangular room under the left pore, not knowing that later tests proved otherwise. By the 2020s, scanning technology had improved even more. New tools included drones with laser scanners called LiDAR, 3D modeling using photogrammetry, and even artificial intelligence. In 2018 and 2019, a team from Japan led by Yukinori Kawi worked with Ancient Egypt Research Associates. They flew drones around the Sphinx and made the most accurate digital model ever, down to the tiniest crack. The goal was to help with preservation, but it also helped researchers look for anything unusual like secret doors or shapes hidden in the rock. So far, nothing major has shown up, but the data is saved and can be studied more in the future. Some tech fans even fed these 3D models into AI programs. These programs sometimes find patterns humans don't notice. Recently, viral videos online said that AI trained on pyramid data had predicted possible hidden rooms under the Sphinx. These videos had titles like "Quantum AI reveals hidden Sphinx tunnels," but experts don't take these claims seriously. The videos often just recycle old radar data or make weak guesses that happen to match conspiracy theories. Egyptologists say none of these AI results are peer-reviewed or confirmed by real science. Still, it shows how powerful the mystery is. People are now using the world's smartest computers to solve a riddle that began thousands of years ago. Maybe one day, real AI tests on actual muon data will find something. But for now, all of that remains just a possibility. Not all research has been legal. In 2023 and 2024, some hobbyists used drones and basic radar on their own. They flew over the Sphinx and made wild claims on social media about energy waves and secret rooms. Egyptian officials were angry. The Sphinx is part of a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Random people scanning it without permission could damage it. There's fear that someone obsessed with treasure might harm the stone. So now, even though technology is getting better and easier to use, there's a need to control who uses it. All serious research now has to be done carefully and with approval. The Sphinx has already been damaged in the past by people trying to help. Some drilled too much, others used the wrong materials to repair cracks, which made the stone weaker. Today's experts try to avoid touching anything. They want to keep the Sphinx safe for the future. If hidden spaces are ever found, they must be explored in a way that doesn't break even a single stone. But while people are trying to uncover secrets, nature is quietly creating a different kind of danger. One problem that began getting worse in the last 20 years is rising groundwater. As Cairo grew bigger, its plumbing and farming changed how water flows. By 2008, that water started seeping into the Sphinx's lower stones. Groundwater carries salt. When the salty water rises and then dries on the surface, the salt becomes crystals. These crystals break the rock apart. Slowly, the Sphinx could begin to crumble. In 2009, Dr. Zahi Hawass oversaw emergency drilling. The team found that the water level was only 15 feet or about 4.5 m below the Sphinx. That was dangerously close. So, they installed pumps and redirected a nearby canal. This helped for a while. But there's another problem. If there are any natural hollows under the Sphinx, cracks, or caves, they could collect water. Some of the secret chambers that people talk about might actually be pools of rainwater or groundwater. In 2025, after a heavy rain, a known natural cave under the Sphinx is backfilled with water. It wasn't a huge flood, but it proved how fragile everything is. The real threat to the Sphinx might not be some hidden trapdoor or ancient curse. It could be water slowly eating away at the base. Conservation experts are now working faster than ever to protect the monument. They are building better drainage, watching the water table, and doing everything they can to stop erosion. For years, one strange idea has refused to disappear. It comes from a man named Edgar Cayce who made thousands of strange predictions in the early 1900s. He spoke of something buried beneath the Sphinx in Egypt. Something he called the Hall of Records. According to him, it wasn't just any chamber or tomb. It was a lost library from an ancient world that had been wiped away over 12,000 years ago. That world, he claimed, was Atlantis. If what he said was true, the implications would be enormous. It would mean the story of human history as we know it is completely wrong. It would mean that a civilization more advanced than Egypt existed before the pyramids, one that understood astronomy, mathematics, engineering, and even technology far beyond what textbooks teach. Some believers imagine that under the Sphinx are scrolls or crystal tablets left behind by these forgotten people. Some go even further and say there might be crystalline devices or digital maps of lands that disappeared beneath the sea, or even the truth about where humans really came from. They say this could destroy the theory of evolution. And that's the reason why so many people even now keep watching for any radar scan or drill near the Sphinx's paw. Because if archaeologists one day find something hidden down there, it could rewrite the story of the human race overnight. But that's not where the ideas stop. Others have looked at the stars and then at the pyramids and noticed something eerie. The 3 pyramids at Giza line up almost perfectly with Orion's belt, a group of stars ancient people often linked with the gods. The Sphinx itself looks directly east if it's waiting for something. So some say maybe it's not just an ancient statue. Maybe it's a marker. Maybe it's guarding something not of this earth. In these theories, the chamber under the Sphinx doesn't just hold scrolls or gold. It might hold a machine, maybe a power source, maybe even a spacecraft, something built not by humans, but by visitors from beyond. It was a gesture of both goodwill and ambition. They wanted to help, yes, but they also wanted to be remembered as the ones who cracked the final code. Egypt knew what was at stake. These foreign projects brought high-tech gear and global attention, but Egypt set clear rules. All data would stay under Egyptian control. Foreign scientists could work on it, but the discoveries would belong to Egypt. This was not the early 1900s when outsiders took charge. Now, Egyptian archaeologists led the missions with international experts acting as partners, not owners.